Every day, tourists pile into the Newseum to view the different exhibits involving the press and the media. For many visitors, one of the most moving parts of the Newseum is the 9/11 exhibit. Though more often than not, people leave the exhibit feeling a variety of emotions, from sadness to anger. They also leave with a newfound knowledge of how the media played a role in helping the nation and the world cope with 9/11. Visitors viewing the exhibit learn how involved the media was in making sense of the devastating events.
11 or 12 when the towers were hit, so I don't really remember a whole lot, but I do remember watching the news with my mom a lot in the weeks that followed, and I remember that it was just constantly news and all the programs were canceled, so I remember a little bit about that.
The 9/11 attacks have garnered the name as the biggest attack on U.S. soil to date. The media played a key role in helping citizens of the U.S. and people around the world cope with the devastating events of the day by showing all of the footage and sharing all of the knowledge they could find with the people.
A lot of different reactions. People who had family members or friends, people that they were close to that they know have usually intense emotional reactions to the exhibit. Younger children and students have a more reflective kind of approach to the exhibit in terms of awe. They're like, wow, this is really interesting. I didn't know all of these things about the exhibit, or I was born that year. So a lot of different reactions to this particular exhibit.
The exhibit focuses on how journalists did this and how it has also had a lasting effect on media.
It's really sad because knowing people would do this stuff, they would be so mean and think mean thoughts.
It's really sad. I was I can't believe somebody could do something like this. And I still remember the day when this happened. I was in middle school and I was in shock.
The exhibit features a 12-minute movie detailing many journalists' first-hand accounts of the attacks in New York City. Inside the mini-theater, there's a quote etched into the wall by Rod Prier, a columnist, that reads, "There are three kinds of people who run towards disaster, not away: cops, firemen, and reporters." Outside the exhibit is a Kleenex box for those who were overwhelmed by the contents of the video. Along the sides of the wall, there are 127 national and international front pages, many expressing the fear, outrage, and utter panic felt following 9/11. According to a sign hanging on the wall, there is at least one from all 50 states and DC, and many from around the world. The multitude of headlines shows how much of an effect 9/11 had on media around the world. On busy days, it is common to see tourists staring up at the tall wall, taking it all in. A sign on the wall reads, "The dramatic headlines instantly communicated the historic nature of the attacks on America." Perhaps one of the most informative parts of the exhibit is the section dedicated to photographer William Bill Bigart, who died taking pictures on 9/11. Some of his personal items were discovered in the wreckage and are on display in the Newseum, including his 3 cameras, 2 camera bags, a press pass, wedding rings, and other personal objects. Over 300 pictures were found on one of his cameras, and though many were damaged, some were salvaged. The photos ranged from people covered in debris to firefighters putting out the flames. Towards the end of the film, it was obvious he was getting close to the building.
I actually really like on the back wall over there about the journalist, Bill Bigard, who had died taking pictures, and it has all of his personal belongings. That was really touching.
Other features in the exhibit include a limestone cornice piece removed from the Pentagon, part of fuselage from the United plane that crashed in Pennsylvania, and a book of comments for visitors to write in. Anonymous submissions that read, "I'm so proud to be an American," and "Heal but never forget," help to summarize the feelings that many have after viewing the exhibit. There is also a U.S. flag prominently displayed above the piece of the Pentagon.
I don't like to think about sad feelings, so like I try to like block it out.
This is actually my second time coming to the exhibit, and it brings back feelings of when I was in 6th grade at my middle school, and I remember hearing of something that was happening, and we didn't know what, and we didn't know how close it was to us, and sort of not a fear, but like anxiety of what's happening and not knowing what to do, and coming home and actually finding out that this awful thing happened.
Definitely took me back to that day and that moment. You know, when things happen in the world, really tragic things, you remember to yourself where you were, what you were doing, and how you were affected.
The Newseum continues to attract large crowds every day as it educates visitors and honors those who lost their lives, as well as the journalist on the front line.